This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. You may have guessed if you recognise the accent. You
Straight in with the old...
straight from the Welt. So you can text the show on 81250. You can do that one, I think. I think you can do that one.
Oh, you'll be able to do that one for a while, I'd imagine.
That one's all right. Man, I think we've got payback on that one. But we can eat the fruit, in case you didn't know. Relax. So you can text the show on 81250. This is the longest one of these I've ever done. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. It is done. The housekeeping is done. We can relax. So,
morning, boys.
Good morning.
Morning. You know what I like to say, Frank?
What's that?
Morning, gents.
Yes, nice. I'm just nipping to the gents. Do people still say that?
Yeah, I think so.
I'd never say that again.
Oh, no. Would you be frightened?
I don't know. It just feels like the sort of toilets I go to now. I'm thinking of
toilets I go to.
They're too nice, you know what I mean? They got like hand towels and things. The toilets I used to go to, I think of leaving the pub, going across a yard and then going to another building. That's what I'm thinking of as the toilets I used to go to. So it's the toilets I used to go to with Frank Skinner.
It's a sort of a...
What would the guest be? That'd be a difficult thing for the guest booker to phone up, wouldn't it? Yeah. Frank Skinner's doing a show called The Toilets I Used to Go To. We wonder if you would... How dare you?
Well, put it this way, I could help you out. I've got a lot of friends.
Well...
Okay.
The sort of outbuildings where you can see your own breath.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your own, all sorts of steam.
I once wrote an article for the Evening Standard.
When you were their editor-at-large... Official title. Oh, editor-at-large. Where's Emily today? She's at large. Oh, well, could be anywhere.
Every time I saw Frank, he would say... What is editor-at-large? And I still I never did answer him.
No, I never
properly.
did. I still don't know. But anyway, you wrote an article.
And it was a strange idea I pitched, but sometimes these things get through. I pitched the idea how to find the toilet in sort of certain London restaurants if you're too embarrassed to ask. Because there are certain places where there's a suggestion that you should know where they are already, that you've been there already. So I did a guide. I got someone to draw a little map. It was great. So there's places, yeah. Because, you know, if you're somewhere and you want to imply you've been there before, you can't ask where the toilet is. So I did the toilet guide.
Well, not only that, but most of these posh restaurant clubs, they don't want you to know where they are. Yeah. No sign outside or anything. What's going on? You want people to go in.
What's fancy about anonymity?
I did a show once where someone complained about... sorry, was that a texting you just set up?
Yes.
Someone complained about... look, it was room 101.
Okay,
I just don't like bringing it up.
Oh, it was a great show, Frank.
I know, but now symbolises failure in all its aspects. But anyway...
Wow, 8:10 on Absolute Radio.
Someone, I can't remember who, chose those signs on toilet doors which don't make it absolutely clear whether it's male or female. So instead of having gents and ladies, there was one. We found some examples of one just got rope on the door, and it was in different knots to represent the various private parts.
Oh, God.
And they weren't well knotted. It was open to interpretation. Some of them you get like weird artistic psychedelic drawings representing maleness and femaleness. I mean, just tell us where to go.
Or gendered terms relating to the theme.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, I don't know enough
Professor Higgins and Eliza Doolittle. I mean, all right. What about people who don't even like musicals? Or, I suppose, all places. They call that in Pygmalion? 8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Yesterday, in fact, I went to the making of Harry Potter. Are you aware that that's a sort of it's a big exhibition? in Watford.
Oh.
And, yeah.
Pierre's turning into me.
Yeah, so it took me an extra second satellite delay to process Watford.
Yeah, so I...
Oh, is it the proximity to Pinewood or something like that? Or I don't know.
It's at A Studios. I can't remember which studios made Harry Potter. But anyway, so I went along there, and the people said that I could have priority parking.
Oh.
All that means is you park a bit nearer. Yeah, and if you want to go, I should say the parking is free there, unlike Legoland.
Is that because you're a celebrity?
No, you can pay for it, but they said, look, it's actually used up, but there is additional priority park. So I got there and I said to the guy on the ticket, I said, I gave him this woman's name, and I can go in the additional priority parking. He said, no, just carry on up to my friends at the end. They'll show you, just park in the normal thing.
Oh, it's all gone a bit Holly and Phil.
It was that. You know what? I honestly thought that as I drove up, I thought they've ruined everything.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it. And I should say, can I say, some of the stuff on the internet about Holly and Phil has been unnecessarily cruel and unpleasant. I think they should stop. At the end of the day. But I was watching this morning, briefly this week.
We all were, dear.
And they trailed a thing about where a woman works in a cafe, and she's the idea of the cafe is that you're abusive to the customers. And they showed a clip from it, and Holly said, that looks hilarious. I can't wait. And I thought, well, I know that. And it was one of those moments, I was in the room on my own, and I thought, I wanted someone else to hear how fast I was on that. And I'll tell it on the radio, but it won't be the same as being there. I looked at the dog and she looked back at me, nothing. Anyway, so I've actually, I got someone to take a picture of me queuing for a Professor Sprout's greenhouse at the Harry Potter, just to prove.
Sure.
White-haired celebrity queuing. I thought it might be quite an interesting picture.
Sounds like a description of one of those stock photographs.
Yes.
It's yeah, exactly. yeah. Google white-haired celebrity. Oh yeah, there's one or two.
A few examples.
So
Getty Images.
Yes.
I don't know if you're into Harry. I gotta say, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was really, when you get to these places sometimes and there's just a lot of reading and photos. This was like proper stuff from the films, including like massive sets and stuff like that. It was fab. But
the making of Harry Potter sounds like a piece of erotic fan fiction.
Yeah, well, it isn't that. What if it had just been put together by in Professor Sprout's greenhouse? By the way, I don't know if you know the films, but you can pull mandrakes out of their pots and they scream.
Yeah,
and they've got them set up so they actually go. As you take them.
What, really?
I know, yeah.
Do they have a lot of originals? Because a pet peeve of mine is you go to a museum dedicated to a film or something and there'll be not enough stuff there, objects.
No, I know what you mean. Well, it's like when you get to the birthplace of a writer or something. It says,
it's so very
this is the sort of furniture they would have had. You think, I don't want to know what sort of furniture. This is a hat, very like a hat he might have once possibly worn.
Yes.
A lot of them are very cobbled together.
No, in fact, at the beginning, you get the Weasley twins. I don't know their real names, forgive me.
They work there.
James and Oliver. No, they appear on a film thing and they say this is proper, real stuff that was really properly in the film.
I would have been very upset to hear that they were working there.
No, I would have been upset, but not totally shocked, but upset, certainly.
It's difficult for the child actor.
But in the Screaming Mandrakes, that reminds me, I used to test people. What their personalities and whether I thought I could be friends with them by asking them whether they could knock a nail through a teddy bear's face. And if anyone said, yeah, I could do that, I'd think, no, you're not for me, I'm afraid. Could you knock a nail through a teddy bear's face? 8, 12, 15. You've been warned, the criteria.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So I tell you what I did. I did a questionnaire, Harry Potter questionnaire. Can you believe it? To say what house I would be in if I was a Hogwarts student. And obviously you want to be in Gryffindor because that's Harry, Hermione and Ron's house. And I got Ravenclaw.
That's the one no one wants, isn't it?
Well, I looked it up. I was gutted.
Hufflepuff is the worst one.
I was gutted, yeah. But what I did is, Buzz has got this thing where you put like a dice in this.
Is it like the sorting hat thing?
It's like the sorting hat. When it comes out, that said Ravenclaw as well, so I'm absolutely stuck with it. But then I looked it up, get this, where those of wit and learning will always find their kind. And I thought, come on! So I'm totally committed
That concerns me, Frank, that's seen as not the best one to be in, if that's where the witty people are. So what's the best one? The sporty job?
No, it's Hufflepuff's the worst one.
Why? What are the characteristics?
No, they're loyal.
They just go loyal and kind. And you go,
that's a bit politician's wife after he's been caught up to something. I don't want people who are going to stand by you.
Yeah.
Frank, what about when I had a real crush on this bloke and it got when I must have been about 15 and word got back to me from one of his friends. You know, Dom said he thinks Emily's really kind.
That's like when you said never tell me I look well or I'll think I put weight on.
Kind and well.
No, Hufflepuff are very much the red shirt Star Trek crew member of... They're going to be killed. Their job is to loyally get shot.
Who's the best one then? Gryffindor?
Yeah.
Well, that's where the big three dwell.
It's the main character one.
Yeah.
What, the Trinity?
But we get, when I say we, when I speak of Ravenclaw now, I'm saying we, have you noticed? We've got Moaning Myrtle, which is the best ghost there. This is the ghost of the first floor girls' toilets. That's what you want.
Frank saying we, like he's talking about West Bromwich Albion.
Well, to be honest, when the dice came up, right, I thought that's a bit freaky. That I've done a sort of 15 questionnaire that told me I'm in this house, and then the dice told me fate and intellect.
Frank, do you know enough about these people and their teams? What would Pierre be in? Do you know, Pierre, what you are?
I do know.
What are you?
How have you done it?
I've done it.
God, what's it all gone a bit? What are you in?
I'm Slytherin. I'm evil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Slytherin? Yes, I see that.
Yeah, I think they probably just heard the accent. And,
Slytherin.
It's probably an old game you use from the bad days.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, have we heard from outsidey worldy?
We have some advice for you.
Well, there isn't enough advice coming in from me that I can read out on breakfast radio anyway.
This is from Ian Loom. He dwells in Edmonton, Canada.
Oh, Canada. Okay. Is the one in Kent, or have I made that up?
There must be.
Yeah.
He says,
most of the North American names are taken from British names, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, Edmonton, Canada. Nice.
Hi, Frank. Fan in Canada here. The success of Frank...
Canada, I'm calling him from now on.
He's a Canadian. Frank, the success... I like that he begins it. He's very confident, and I like that about Ian Loom. Frank, the success of Bob Mortimer and Paul Whitehouse's fishing show suggests...
Why bring that up? Why bring anyone else's success up?
That's what I say to anyone who's fishing.
Yeah.
Suggests that gentle conversation humour is perhaps more in demand these days. Any plan to pull the old couch out and call up Badil? It would be widely popular, as this kind of niche comedy... I know, I'm moving on, has a much easier time building a following thanks to YouTube. I'm 52 and had left...
I thought he's going to say thanks to you two. But no.
He continues, I'm 52...
Oh, well.
And had left England in 82 by the time you hit it big. Sorry. I feel stiff with stress whilst reading this.
No, that's all right.
It was... I discovered your work on YouTube, and Mortimer has a now near legendary status among international fans.
Oh, God. Carry on.
I don't think I can. Due to his Would I Lie to You stories. Storytellers are making a comeback. Give us another season. And there's some lovely praise for Pierre Novellie as well.
Oh, nice.
So he ends with cheers, mate.
Well, my problems with this is I did Would I Lie to You once and was never asked back. So there goes my international following based on my stories on Would I Lie to You.
I think you're too truthful, you see.
I don't fish. Frank don't fish.
Did you go on and did everyone immediately guess because they thought Frank's religious morals are strong enough, and I think we could immediately know he's not lying.
Well, they did get me. I think I am a terrible liar. Yes.
Why do you think you weren't asked back?
I don't know, it's happened to me quite a lot on panel shows. Sometimes because I've been too good, but not on there. Then I thought I was. Sometimes if you get regular host, they don't like anyone being too good.
Yeah.
But
lovely, Matt,
I can only think
Matt.
of one example, and I think that was the case. Generally, it's because they think you were rubbish. And certainly, judging by the quality of the hosts on Would I Lie to You, it was because I just was bad at lying. Simple as that.
Do you think reading a long email about another comedian's success to you is your nail through a teddy bear's face?
No, you know what? I'm all right with it. I quite like Bob. Bob Mortimer is someone who deserves to be successful.
Yeah.
But I always said that it's like that when the bubbles come up from a glass of orangeade, the bubbles rise to the top, but sometimes they bring some of that sort of orange silt that you get. They bring them up with them, and that's what success is like. There are some people who've deserved the bubble status, and some people just got stuck on the uplift. I'm not prepared to name them, but if you go to my website, I don't have a website. What a website for? Pictures? I don't think so.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Yes, I was trying to explain to my colleagues that used to be on the back of shredded wheat boxes, there used to be faces from history that you could cut out, and they were flat, but you could build them if you secured the flaps into a 3D head from a person from history. And I remember Henry VIII is the one that sticks in my mind. I built that. And it was a fabulous lumpen cardboard-headed Henry VIII. And if anyone
Frank getting all Field of Dreams, I built that.
Yes, I'm glad he didn't come now. So if Henry VIII had turned up in spirit form, I would have been anxious with his terrible calves. Anyway,
Fred of my dreams.
That's made Pierre's got shorts on today in the late September.
Can we talk about the shorts? Is it inappropriate to say?
No,
I mean, you're
think
the other fellow gentleman. I think it's inappropriate for me to comment, but
I think Pierre's going to be one of those guys who just wears those plastic flip-flops, sort of Adidas flip-flops and shorts all the year round. Am I right?
Never branded flip-flops.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No,
you've
no.
got. I mean, they're quite short shorts as well.
They're sort of riding up as a result of the radio chairs, and in a way that would be sexy to a certain sector of the community, but to very few other people.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be.
The Bears.
You can't say I don't know who that would be. It's come across quite rude.
No, I just think of you as a very. It's just sort of, I find you too big and frightening, like a centaur, like some sort of half centaur.
I quite like it. I feel very safe here.
He looks like I don't know whether he looks like the front part of a centaur or the back part of a centaur.
Or just a full centaur with the front hooves removed and the arms
maybe
kept
a
on.
centaur who's been in a 3 centaur pile-up and been squeezed into squeezed so that it's all up together.
I find his presence comforting.
when we were on tour,
Go on.
well, a few times people tangibly believed that I was your security.
No, they did. Yeah.
Did they?
Yes. Yeah.
And what I like
Well, they
is
didn't believe the tour manager was, because he was invariably wearing pink Doc Martens and a furry coat,
Yes.
wasn't he? So they didn't. They thought he was my stylist.
Yes, and before they asked you for sort of maybe a picture or an autograph, they'd nervously glance at me.
Yeah, they would. They would ask Pierre sometimes if it was all right to approach me.
Yes.
I was still laughing at the idea of you having a stylist.
I know. What kind of an anti-stylist has Frank Skinner hired? I remember I was once introduced by Bob Monkhouse as Frank Skinner, a man who hasn't let success go to his clothes.
Did he say that?
Yeah. Speaking of clothes, anyway, the reason I mentioned Henry VIII was Kai, one of the professional dancers.
Oh, Kai Widrington, yeah.
Yeah, on Strictly, reminds me of that those heads. He's got that sort of. He's got like a lot of straight edges on his head.
A sort of 90s video game character.
Yeah, he looks like Max Headroom. Do you remember Max Headroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a bit of an obscure crush on him. Can we discuss a bit of Strictly?
I was the same with Anna Nova.
Yes. No, that is quite you, actually.
Yeah.
Can we discuss... Did you guys watch any of the launch show? Oh, I loved it.
Yes. Well, I feel we have to. If you work at Absolute, you're under the Bauer umbrella. And we've got the Compass Kids. We've got Tyler West and Fleur East.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And because they had the Addams Family as well
Oh, yes.
on the show. They had... obviously... And we
We've
know
got Kay
who
Adams,
I'm rooting
Jade
for.
Adams and Tony Adams.
Oh.
Or Addo.
Yeah.
Of course, as we call it. But one of the great moments this morning was oft name-checked Faye, our assistant producer, said, they got Tyler from Kiss on the show. And I said, from Kiss? Wow, thinking they were going to be wearing the makeup and all that. And I thought it was Kiss as in, I was loving you. I'm gonna rock and roll all night. No, but it wasn't. It was Kiss. But yeah, so we'll be back. Well, obviously I'll be back in Addo.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. We got
Company
back
man.
the donkey.
Got her back on Addo, yeah. But it was exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm not often excited nowadays.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Pierre Novellie is with us this morning. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. It's okay. Faye's gone out for crisps. My mouth is physically watering. That's what's happening. So, have we got more news?
We have 532.
Alfresco Monday.
532. Morning, Frank. Just so you know, it was Larry Lamb who put toilet signs in room 101.
Of course.
It's the Warner Brothers studio tour for Harry Potter and the Phelps twins
Warner Brothers, yes.
that played Fred and George Weasley. So a lot of...
Wow.
532 has been great on the
Great
Intel
info.
front.
Larry Lamb also put in the high five, I remember.
Oh.
As something he disapproved of as a modern phenomenon. And we found a clip from something like the 30s of a vocal group doing the high five. So it's been around a while, apparently.
Yeah.
What was his problem with it? Was it just too
He liked a
explosive?
handshake.
Ah.
That's it. I would avoid both, if possible. By the way, we spoke of string vests last week.
We did.
And then I was watching a show with Frankie Goes to Hollywood on it, and Holly Johnson was wearing a string T-shirt, and I wonder if that... I see that's where I think it lapses into sexy away from comedy, when it goes into a T-shirt. There's no real reason why those extra bit of shoulder coverage should make a difference, but I think that makes it
Anything
groovy.
anything bigger than a vest, like a T-shirt, dress, anything like that.
Dress?
A whole like see-through leg.
Sicko.
They've been caught in a net.
Frank, we've had
I can't get out because I love you too much, baby. We're caught in a net.
We've heard from David Cormo. And what I like about David Cormo is that...
Don't list everything you like about him.
No, just the one thing.
Okay.
He's put location Lewis, and then in parenthesis, Frank's not a fan.
Oh, no, of course, yes.
And that would be to do with the
That's
satanic.
to do with... no, they're not satanic. There's, Lewis have kept the tradition of
Oh, dear.
no potpourri. I don't mean potpourri.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
that wouldn't have gone down well in my house.
So
No
on
potpourri.
their bonfire night celebrations, I would be like pets are on bonfire night. If I lived in Lewis, I'd have to be kept in the house.
Yeah.
And I'd be very afraid and much more nervous than normal. That's what it's like. Meanwhile, the crackling sound of a Pope effigy burning outside the window.
Well, David Cormo from Lewis.
Yes.
Frank's not a fan.
Lewis. It's actually a nice place by day.
Yes, it's rather nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Something very,
After dark.
something very Transylvania about that comment.
Exactly.
He says, "Good morning, Frank, +2. Oh, +2. Is this what it's come to?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. What about when I went to a party once and there was a woman who was a party organiser who was a good friend of Meg Matthews, and she was a lady called Fran. And I saw on the bouncers list, it said Fran +10. And I thought, I mean,
Wow.
that's quite a big ask, isn't it?
That is a big ass.
+10. Good morning, Frank +2. Frank, have you ever seen the Paternoster lift? On my recent overseas travel, I came across this form of elevator, initially called cyclic elevators. The name Paternoster emerged from the system's resemblance to rosary beads rotating in the hands of a Catholic reciting prayers. Paternoster, from Our Father, the first words of the Lord's Prayer in Latin. The one I visited led to a bar. Sorry, Frank. Not a good idea, after a few ales, to try and get on the lift. Best to take the stairs. Anyway, apparently there is only one left operating in the UK for people to use, I believe, in Sheffield, unless your readers know of any others, as I may try and visit as many of these as I can. A new hobby.
Well, I'll give you my Paternoster's answer after this.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, you left us on tenterhooks with
yes.
a Paternoster lift cliffhanger.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say that. The Paternosters, as you say, named after the rosary beads, because they are perpetual. There's no doors on them. So you just look at this frame, and sometimes there's a lift there and sometimes there isn't. They're just constantly going round. And I was at Gloucester Green campus for Birmingham Polytechnic for a year, and they had Paternosters. And I think they covered 4 floors. And I got in the top floor once, and I got in the wrong Paternoster, and it was the one going up. So you go up into darkness, basically, and then it shuffles across at the top, and then it comes down again. And it was at first frightening, so I wondered if the whole thing might slap shut like a suitcase and then spin around to come to... But it didn't, happily. So then I got in with a young lady who I had a roving eye for, who I'd been given the glad eye, as we used to call it. And we got into the Paternosters a couple of days later, and we got to the top floor, and I held her in because I thought this will be funny to reproduce.
When Laurel and Hardy had an eye for a lady.
Yes. So the problem was that with the extra weight of another person in there, when we went across the top, it stopped. So we were in utter darkness and just stuck in the sort of, well, it wouldn't be the bells, could it be the top bit, but whatever.
I would have thought you'd fixed that. If I
And
was that
she
lady.
went hysterical and started really properly hitting me and punching me and going, "What have you done? What have you done?" And there's a tiny crack visible, and I started going, "Hello." You know the hello when you're trapped? You know a trapped hello? 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 There's a certain kind of... You'd never meet anyone and go, "Oh, it's Dave. Hello?" You'd never talk to them like that. So I did a trapped, and eventually someone said, "I'll get the Johnny, the janitor." And he came and said, "What you need to do is throw yourselves at the walls, first to the left, first to the... Or she just wasn't. She was by now just sobbing. So I had to jump from one wall to the other. You have to get it back in the groove.
Presumably each time you jumped, you had to leap over a sobbing claustrophobe.
Yes, I did. Yeah, that made it a bit more difficult. It was like being at Aintree. Anyway, eventually I hit it hard enough and it went back onto its groove and it moved. And when we got to the bottom, I remember she jumped out and she just ran to get outside, just to get into air.
Oh, that's not a ringing endorsement, is it?
Yes. And that woman became my wife, the mother of 7. No, she didn't. She didn't. It didn't. I don't know why.
So Paternoster, Frank, because I was only familiar with it from King Charles. That was the monstrous carbuncle, wasn't it? One of them.
Was he?
Yes, I believe Paternoster Square by St Paul's was one of the monstrous carbuncles he
One of
referred
them
to.
was Birmingham Central Library, one of his monstrous
sorry to hear it,
carbuncles.
Frank. How did you take that?
At the time, he got quite a lot of people saying stuff like, we should have a palace, like a free palace. That's what we should have. But obviously now he's the king, we all love him.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
And
You were telling us all about paternosters.
what about my own paternoster experience, certainly?
My paternoster hell. Richard Pipe has been in touch. Paternoster was in Baker Building of Perry Bar campus of University of Central England. Does any of that make any sense to you?
Yes, that's the same paternoster, but it wasn't called...
Shut up.
It was at... Yeah.
Richard continues, terrifying when full.
Oh, no, he
If
might
you-
actually... Perry Bar, that might be a different campus. It was all Birmingham Polytechnic, and then that became University of Central England in a sort of Tolkien was the principal.
yes. But in
now
fact,
it's
wasn't it
Birmingham
the-
City University now, which I didn't like. It sounds like it's named after the football team.
In fact, it wasn't the Chancellor, but your degree was awarded to you by?
The head of the gas board. Yes, that was the same institution. I have to say, I went to Polytechnic and to university, and Polytechnic was much, much better.
What is it with Birmingham and the love for the energy? There's a lot of branding with energy because you've got Boiler Man, the head of the gas board.
Yeah, I think it's quite industrial.
Yeah.
Birmingham generally and the West Midlands.
Richard continues, terrifying. This is regarding the Paternoster Baker Building. The Paternoster in the Baker Building, I apologise. Terrifying when full if you were first in the carriage. So last out meant a jump down of 3 foot
Yeah,
or
'cause it
miss
ca-
your floor. Are you
Yeah.
absolutely
Because
joking?
it keeps going,
Yeah.
the first people get out and it's still going. So then you've got to decide, can I still get out here?
It's a very
This is absolutely ridiculous.
an Indiana Jones moment where you
Yeah,
snatch
there
your
was.
hat.
So you said I knew a guy who went running for the Paternoster, slipped, and half of him went in and half of him went out. He had to crawl out again, or otherwise he would have been scissored by the rising. It's amazing now in the age of health and I said health and efficiency then, which was actually a naturist magazine. I meant health and.
Sounds like a German nature magazine.
Which, funnily enough,
it probably was.
funnily enough, Pierre and I hadn't heard of.
Oh, okay. H&E.
Spot the difference.
Yes, not that. Health and safety, which was what I... Health and efficiency.
What a Frank.
Why was a naturist magazine called Health and Efficiency?
I think we can work it out.
Anyway, it's all black and white.
What else?
It didn't seem to make it so bad.
Do you know, it's the first time in my entire friendship with Frank that I've seen him go a little bit coy. Would you agree?
Yeah.
He's a little bit coy, Frank.
Like a coy carp.
A few little memories coming back to you there.
Yes, H&E, that was very...
Next to be throwing in the Gratin catalogue.
I don't really want to do a texting about if people remember H&E. 'Cause
No.
I don't see how it's going to go, really.
Oh, no, and also, you know what? That's your private little memory. Let's keep it there.
Yes.
We've also heard from Steve.
Oh, but it was all so simple then.
We've heard from Steve Cooper.
Oh, we all got really excited then. Thought it was going to be Steve Cooper.
Very close.
I remember that paternoster. See, I'm saying paternoster. Is it? You said paternoster, so I feel.
No, I said paternoster.
Oh, did you? So it's pater. A pater, yeah. I
It
remember.
probably is. I don't know. We called it the
I call it pater.
paternosters.
Pater. Yeah. I remember that paternoster. There was a light bulb in the void at the top when I took a trip over the top.
Oh, he went over the top as well. See, I don't remember the light bulb. I
It was
wonder
the
if that
First
was.
World War. He went over the top.
I wonder if the light bulb was added after the hysteria of my claustrophobic love interest.
I imagine it was the result of an enormous lawsuit.
My claustrophobic love interest must be a banner headline in some tabloid magazine sometime over the year.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, I know. I don't know if you're a fan of any of those sort of films that use a chance meeting on a train as a kind of.
Well, one of the greats, and I can't remember what it is now. Stranger on the Train.
Strangers on a train.
Where a bloke's wants to kill something like his wife or something like that, and the other one, it's a complete stranger, says, "Well, if I do it, no one will suspect me. I've got no motive." That
They
just
swap crimes.
but just as an do they kill each other's
They swap
victims?
crimes, but it doesn't
Just
work
as
out.
an initial idea, that is if someone came to me, I've got this idea for a film, and just told me that bit. Two strangers meet, they both want to kill somebody, we'll just do each other's. There's no I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want me to kill some acquaintance of yours?
Well, now that you've said it live, I mean, you've.
No, it's difficult.
You two have spoilt your idea. Can I just say?
Double bluff, because they'll say, well, no, they would never have discussed it on air.
Yeah, that's true. They say someone listening must have done it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been framed.
Yeah.
Or someone in the studio. Oh no.
Well, I had I had that exact experience.
No. Oh, no.
But this show will be called Pierre Novellie, A Confession.
Yes. Just leave the studio.
Because people love that real crime stuff. This could be our
Yes.
biggest ever podcast.
Imagine we're Frank, we could be on that Netflix documentary. And I'd be saying, well, I just, and then it all changed.
Yes, and they'd get someone who absolutely cannot do a South African accent to play me, as is tradition with all South African parts.
Frank would do that Netflix thing at the beginning, when they keep the bit in where he's going, can you hear me okay? Is the mic
Yes.
on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, they love all that now.
They always keep that in, don't they?
Very rude.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Well, so I was sitting on a train to Cornwall, and I was sat next to an elderly and very well-dressed gentleman, where there's a level of dressing well where you think, this is a person of some status. This is, and he was sort of peering at his laptop and fiddling for a while, and eventually he turned to me and said in a very sort of cut glass voice, "Could you help me get on the internet? I have some emails to check." He pronounced the hyphen in emails.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say, could you give me his number? Frank, this is my idea.
How do you pronounce the hyphen in email?
He would have found.
Emails.
Oh, okay.
Do you know he would have found a way?
And I had to sort of half take his laptop from him and get him on the train Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And in so doing, of course, I was filling in his details, so I got his name.
Okay.
And there's the drop-down menu where you select your title. And
Yes.
sometimes they can be very elaborate. And you go, Captain
Yeah.
Reverend. And he was scrolling all the way down and very carefully selected Sir.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I'm sat next to a knight. Oh. I'm a squire. I'm sat next to. I'm a knight's internet squire.
Right.
Oh, he was a sir.
Yeah. So I thought, oh, okay, and I made a note of his name, and so I got him online, and then we had some light chat about him saying, I haven't been on a train since the 80s, I think.
Oh, wow.
He said, normally I drive everywhere because you're your own master then, aren't you? I thought, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And I looked, and while he was busy sort of checking his emails, I thought, I'm looking this guy up.
Can I say, what sort of age are we talking?
I would
Asking for a
have
friend.
said minimum 80.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh,
That's
okay.
ideal for me. Just
Minimum.
what I need.
I don't know if you can top the fact that he had a laptop if he was that old.
Yes. Yeah. And,
So go on.
well, so I Googled him, and
How did you Google him? Just look up Sir.
no, because I saw his name when he was
okay.
filling in the form.
Okay.
And I was helping him fill in the form, so I got
Helping him identity stealing.
That's it. I stole his identity. Yeah. And I used my phone to Google who he was, which he immediately said, "It's funny, isn't it? You can get that on your phone without joining some sort of club, but I have to type all this into my laptop."
Anyway, I'm going to leave this as a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So here we've got a picture sitting next to the mysterious knight.
Oh.
We have Pierre Googling to see who he is, and we'll find out after this.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So listen, Pierre Novellie's on a train with an old knight.
Wow. 732, I do apologise. What a cliffhanger. Please, please, please let Pierre's travelling companion, new Smith song there, or is it Morrissey Smith's, have been Sir Tim Berners-Lee. Okay?
Oh. What
Because
I
we're
want.
waiting to know who the Sir was. I don't know if Pierre will
What
be
are you,
able to.
what are you
reveal.
wanting to? I'm wanting David Furnish to come in and say, "Come on, this is our stop."
I'll tell you what I'm wanting. I'm wanting.
And his
I'm
wig kept
wanting-
tipping into my lap.
the 80-year-old Pierre to have my details, please. That's just what I'm after.
You don't have any guesses of who it could be.
I'm thinking. You see, I think with this sort of thing, he sounds fabulous. I suspect he's a hereditary Pierre, though. See, I called him Pierre.
Okay.
Hereditary Pierre.
Okay.
I thought. I don't
okay,
know. I've got a feeling he sounds a bit. You know, I often speak of the elderly gentleman my father encountered, Frank, who famously said when someone commented on an antique grandfather clock, I believe it was, of his. Do you remember what he said?
Of course, he said, "Fella, notice me things."
Yes. He sounds like he has something of the fellow noticed me things, this chap.
Okay, so come on.
Interesting. It would be a terrible tragedy in some ways if it was Tim Berners-Lee who invented the internet.
Couldn't get on it.
Having to take my help.
That would be really awful.
I didn't mean for it to be like this.
Oh man, the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Frankenstein monster. It's got out of my control.
I'm guessing it wasn't him then.
No. In fairness, I would have been surprised if anyone had guessed it correctly. But
Okay.
sneakily, as this wonderful old knight checked his emails, I thought, here we go. I Googled away, and it was none other than Sir Ivan John Lawrence KC, King's Counsel. And by the way, someone has gone through all of Wikipedia, changing all the QCs to KCs. A long day for them.
Oh, they're King's Counsel now.
Oh,
yes,
of course, yeah.
Yeah. Someone had to take a day off work to
Yes.
sort that problem out. So Sir Ivan Lawrence represented over 90... He defended over 90 murder cases,
Whoa.
including a few notable trials, e.g. the Cray twins, Dennis Nielsen.
Oh, he'd be lovely. Oh, I know. I'm not because of that. I'm just saying I like the
Sorry,
work he does.
he backs an outsider, Casey. Oh, he also says Casey. Not his name. What's his name again? Ivan.
Ivan, yeah.
Ivan, yeah. Yeah.
Ivan's outsiders.
It's a chance, there.
What I like is that he wouldn't be judgmental in our relationship.
Yeah.
No,
You know what I
well, no,
mean?
if he, no, in those,
He'd cut me some slack.
yeah.
The Mount Nessing silver bullion robbery and the Brinkmats gold bullion money laundering. He loves a bit of a bullion case, this guy. So a lot of murders. And
It's
things.
odd because if you said to me, "What is bullion?" I think I'd struggle to come up with the proper definition. But we hear bullion. Oh, yes, there was a lot of bullion stolen.
Yeah.
Does it mean like gold stuff?
Yeah.
Gold bars, are that bullion?
I believe so.
Okay.
Sort of minted precious metals.
Unminted.
I think coins are coins, aren't they?
Okay, yeah.
Not to be too controversial,
So
Frank.
probably ingots.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd like to imagine. But yes, I sat next to a guy who had not only met but worked with the Cray twins.
Yeah, wow.
You know what? He's probably quite a sympathetic chap. Do you know what I mean? He'd have to be. Because he'd have to listen to people and not rush to judgment.
Yeah.
He was quite amusing as well about the train food.
Was he?
Yeah. They sort of come around and we were sitting in first class, of course.
Yes, of course.
To be sat next to a knight, you have to pay.
Yeah.
And he very demurely accepted the egg and tomato sandwich instead of the hot option. And after I'd finished the hot option, he looked over at me and said, "Was it edible?"
Oh.
Well, you just ate it.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know, I love him.
But he could tell that I was a man who would have eaten it anyway.
Well, that's you didn't broach it. You couldn't really, because then you'd have to say
Frank
you googled him.
I saw the amount of trouble he'd had with the internet, and I thought it might be unnerving to immediately say, "So, Sir Ivan, the Cray twins."
You didn't want to bring, you could just bring up stuff like if he passed you something. Oh, thanks a bullion.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
My dad has decided to bypass that instruction, Frank, and text me directly regarding the show.
Oh.
Where is your dad in the Isle of Man?
He certainly is.
Okay.
He certainly is. In his croft.
Oh, nice.
Pierre Novellie, as opposed
Yes.
to Pierre. I love a bit of Pierre Novellie.
That's
Nice.
good.
That's good.
So he writes in regarding the changing of QC to KC
Okay.
on the Wikipedia. Douglas Shaw QC was a crusty old barrister in Durban in South Africa and an Oxford classicist. And when South Africa became a republic in 1961, they made everyone change to SC, Senior Counsel, from a monarchical one.
Yeah.
The Minister of Justice instructed Shaw to change his moniker, and he replied, "By what authority does the Minister seek to override the letters patent awarded to me by Her Majesty?" And he remained a QC till his death in 2013.
Oh, wow.
Lovely news.
What a posh, tough man.
Is
Yes.
Pierre Novellie is he in the legal area?
Yes.
Oh, I knew he would be, Frank. I just knew it. Okay. So, I've got something I'd like to discuss with you both.
Is he in the legal area? Sounds like some terrible question at a meeting at a magazine publisher's.
Yes. Is he in the legal area?
And he is in the legal area. Yes, I've checked that.
I think it's quite Hyacinth Bouquet being impressed by the daughter's boyfriend. Is he in the legal area?
Well, it's like...
Not knowing any of the job titles.
It's like our dog clipper who said, yes, and I'll do the hygiene area. I would say that was the absolute opposite.
Surely, yes.
Especially in the case of the dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of leaves Ray gets in that area.
Really?
Oh,
Leaves?
it's a real
because
problem.
he's very close to the ground.
Oh, of course.
It's like me.
Yeah.
But I don't get leaves.
He's like
Do you know what I mean?
a Eubank sweeper.
Listen, I need to talk to you both about Dr. Coffey.
Dr. Coffey. Oh, yes, Therese.
Therese Coffey.
Yes. Who is the new health minister? Is that what they're
Indeed.
called?
I'm a bit obsessed by.
Are they health
Dr.
minister
Coffey.
or health secretary?
I think they're still health secretary.
Health Secretary.
Okay.
Yeah. Deputy, yeah. Is she deputy
Leader.
PM?
She's
Deputy
deputy
PM.
leader.
And health secretary. I quite like Dr. Coffey, mainly because she's a health secretary who's a proud cigar smoker.
Yes.
Which is-
Different.
Yeah. And unlikely potential cover star for our favourite magazine, Cigar Aficionado.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I bet they get her on there.
Bumper edition.
Do you know
Yeah.
who? Well, we know. Can you guess who the three? I mean, they always have a bit of Stallone, Selleck. That's normally their area. James Woods as well is the
Yeah,
other one.
I'm guessing Arnie might
Yes.
smoke a
Frank.
cigar.
Yes.
Been on the most covers, I think. I'm
Oh,
pretty
really?
Sure.
Okay.
And Selleck then. Anyway,
I've tried. I remember Jonathan Ross gave me an enormous cigar at his house once.
That sounds about right.
I think I threw up for over 2 hours.
Oh my God.
in his bathroom. But he got some great photos on the wall of.
Presumably because you smoked the cigar, not just at the offer.
No, I every time I tried a cigar or a pipe, I vomited.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Well, good for you in a way.
Well, so she
Yeah.
won't be on Cigar Aficionado, but she might be on the UK version. I think it's called Cigar Scene. UK Cigar Scene. Anyway, have you heard...
And she's got a good chance of the tablet as well, which is the Catholic Journal.
Oh, is she one of yours, Frank?
She is, yeah.
Oh, Frank, isn't that lovely for you?
It is, but she's also like a massive, keen defender of the Rupert Murdoch dynasty and various other...
Yes. Oh,
Anyway.
She's definitely problematic in a number of areas. However...
what I have heard about her is she is a fanatical hard worker, that she's one of those who's the last to leave the office and really... So, you know,
she's also a fanatical grammarian. Which I think we need to discuss, because I know you might differ on some issues, but she's a bit of a git when it comes to punctuation. So I think she might be a friend for you, Frank.
I wanted to quote then, there's a poem called A Grammarian's Funeral by Robert Browning, and he says something about he introduced us, and it's something like the Eclectic Day, and it's some sort of Latin grammar. It's about a bloke who gave his life to these minor obscure grammar. I sort of respect that.
Frank, the producer's got a clipboard out. I've never actually seen that before.
Oh God, is it This Is Your Life?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking about Dr. Coffey this morning, and Dr. Coffey has been in the news, as I say, because of her, I'm going to call it obsession with the Oxford comma.
Let me say something about the Oxford comma, and I think this is a phenomenon that might have a name, and if it's got a name, tell me what it is. But I knew what the Oxford comma was, just for anyone who doesn't. It's when you get something like, if there was pigs, sheep and cows in a field, you'd go pigs, comma, sheep and cows. But some people add another comma, so they'd go pigs, comma, sheep, comma, and cows. And you would say, we don't need a comma if we've got an and. That's
and
the
you'd
argument.
be right.
Well, that's the argument. Now, I knew some people added a comma. I didn't know it was called the Oxford comma till about 3 weeks ago when I read it somewhere in a different context. And I thought, oh, that's what they call that comma. Then I heard about Therese Coffey saying she was anti the Oxford comma, and I thought, how weird, I'd never heard of it called that before. And then I was watching a panel show last night, and they had a question about the Oxford comma. And I think there must be a name for that phenomenon when you've never heard of anything, and when you do hear of it, it starts happening all the time.
Pierre's put his hand up, which is adorable.
Ooh, me, sir.
Yes.
Fulfilling my role as a guy who knows things. It's the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Oh, yes, it is.
That's one of its names. There's a few names.
Yes.
So that's because no one had heard of Bader-Meinhof, and then
suddenly every news story seems to be
and
about
there is
the
an
Bader-Meinhof
explanation
group.
which is to do with you are just more cognizant of it, therefore you are more aware of it.
Yeah.
So you think you're hearing it all the time. You probably heard it just as much, but you didn't know what it was.
That's the theory, but I just think a phrase like the Oxford comma, I would want to know what that was.
That is surprising that you hadn't come across it and then you were barraged with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Therese says, I mean, she uses very strong language. I abhor the Oxford comma. I refuse to use it. She then said, because she was actually giving out directives to, was it the NHS, I believe, saying,
or her ministry, maybe.
Or her ministry, but it was saying, you know, this will not be used. And in official context.
Okay.
She also said, I cannot bear it and constantly remove it. And then she said something which you don't often hear these days at the end, rant over.
Oh, nice.
Which is very points of view 1978. Rant over.
But there is a self-awareness about that, which is sort of, I've gone off on one here, but I've said it.
So
if you said to me, who's your favourite comedians, and I said, let's say
What did I have to say, Frank Skinner?
If I said Laurel and Hardy and Groucho Marx, would you put a comma after Hardy and before the and?
Okay, Laurel.
Ooh,
Oh, interesting. Laurel and Hardy and Groucho Marx.
that's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Well,
Doctor-
I'll let you gentlemen talk about this while I go off powder my nose. If you'll be excusing me for the day.
Dr. Coffey also instructed the civil
Remember, this has
servants.
come from a woman initially.
Yeah.
That's it.
Dr. Coffey also instructed the civil servants under her command to, quote, be positive. And there's nothing quite like being instructed to be positive, I find, to really
No.
lift
Yes,
your mood.
I like it best when someone from SAS, are you tough enough, says to me, be positive.
No, I find generally with the NHS, I'm looking to be negative if at all possible.
Oh, dear.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, if you were friends with Therese Coffey, would you struggle a bit to cease coffee jokes?
Well, there was another Therese Coffey story when she was being interviewed by Nick Ferrari, the well-known car thief. And her phone went off. Did you hear this story? And I really wanted it to be Coffee and TV by Blur. I just loved the idea that she would have a personal life. I must have told you I was in Mass once on a Sunday morning and my phone went off. And that's terrible, but it was also Three Lions,
Oh, no.
which
that's
is like
awful.
the most embarrassing.
That makes you look awful.
I know.
It's so arrogant.
I know. There was no forgiveness in the air, even in a Catholic church.
Did your priest say afterwards, well, I think I'll kick us off?
No, he didn't. I'm happily. He probably didn't recognise it. But anyway,
So she did. She was listening to. Yeah, she was interviewed by Nick Ferrari, and it was. Did you see this? It was a bit. Oh, I loved it. I was so shocked. Still Dre.
but what happened? Yeah, it was still Dry by Dr. Dre.
Yes.
Now, could it possibly have been an I'm Cool stunt?
I did wonder if it was, or a bit of a time-wasting distraction. 3 minutes of fun chat about not forgetting about Dre,
Yeah.
replacing at least one awkward question.
Well, she said it was a curious response because Nick Ferrari, thanks for the tip, as you say, Frank, said, "Have you got a phone ringing?"
Right.
Impromptu Nick Ferrari impression there.
Yeah.
And Coffey said, I do apologise. I've just realised it's my 8 o'clock alarm going off. And I felt as Ferrari should have pursued that.
Yeah.
Because what is the 8 o'clock alarm is a thing we all have.
Yeah, the next question, for what purpose?
Yes.
That's the next question. You don't just have, it's 8 o'clock. Good to know.
Yeah.
No one sets that alarm.
And if you're a famously workaholic minister, you're
Yeah.
presumably up rather earlier.
Well, might be time to go home.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Oh, you've gone a bit criminal barrister, connoisseur,
Sir,
rather.
Sir, I picked up. You rubbed off on me. I picked up.
Yeah, no, by osmosis,
Yeah.
sitting too close to Sir Ivan.
Yes.
But I just have questions concerning the 8 o'clock alarm, Frank,
Yes.
for a start. I have a lot of questions about coffee anyway.
I'd have thought she'd have had her ringtone as a strange brew by Cream. If she was going to
Nice.
Dr. Coffee, yeah.
But I thought, if you wanted to be cool and you're Therese Coffey, you're probably not going to know something that's really up to date. So Dr. Dre's a reasonable place to go.
Yeah.
She also, when it goes off, she said, that was Dr. Dre. I thought, are you all right? We get it. And I think, I don't have any... I will say this of Therese Coffey, I don't have any grounds for this.
Oh, stop stirring.
But I did. It just it's quite cool for her to be known to have a Dr. Dre
Yes.
ringtone.
Good press.
At the end of this,
And Dr. Dre is still... be the name still running the game, as I don't think she'd be able to quote. I wish Nick Ferrari had
said,
pulled
what
that
other
up.
Dre stuff do you like?
I wish she'd said, I'm a massive Dre fan. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
And then she got out these pictures of Dre horses delivering beer barrels. And it all gone very messy. Anyway, at the end of I'm going to say after this break, I'm going to ask you guys what your ringtone is, so you better be ready.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We're doing our ringtones now, and we've made sure that no one. I'm very aware of people on the telly carefully arranging their bookcases to make them look cleverer.
No, what
or
I
whatever.
liked is Frank. I've got two, a Gen Z and a millennial working on the show,
Yeah.
and I said, "How do I find where this is?" And Frank said, with a great deal of authority, "You go to sounds and haptics."
Yeah, I don't know what haptics are,
Yeah.
but I
You know
know
where they
sounds
are.
and
Do
haptics.
you know what? I don't ever want to know, and I like it.
Oh, I wish. If anyone can tell me what a haptic is, I'd be
Okay,
very
so
good.
will I just show?
And if
look,
anyone says it's 3 goals in the same game, I'm going home.
I've got mine open. It has. There is. Can I just get verification? There has been no tampering.
No,
with this.
okay. Let's hear it.
Novellie, I can't vouch for because he's on his own. God knows what he's doing over there. Okay.
Okay.
Should we start? Ringtone?
Right.
I will say,
No.
as a millennial, the idea of having your phone off silent is obscene to me, and I would rather have a loose grenade in my pocket than a phone
Okay.
that's set to ring.
Okay.
When you ring them, the millennials, the Gen Z go, "What's wrong?"
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Let's
Okay.
hear it. We won't get it all in this
Okay.
way.
Okay.
You go first, Pierre.
All right. Here we are.
It's the A-team.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's the A-Team theme.
Very, very nice. What?
So that's your ringtone.
So you see your place in comedy.
Okay, mine's quite boring, but I think we should just
Okay.
go with what I've got. Okay. Standard.
Oof. Yeah.
Me, a swan? Go on.
Okay, Frank Skinner.
There we go.
Of course.
Oh, for God's sake.
We go to the middle 8 on this. Wait for it. Here it comes.
Good Lord.
Yes.
I can make up for my ringtone, Frank.
Okay.
I like to think with this, with my text tone.
Oh, Chewie.
Yeah,
Oh, is that what that was?
That's Chewbacca, yeah.
Oh, okay.
that's in honour of my
I
dog.
thought it was a ritualised slaughter of cattle.
Frank, can I just say, do you have the swoosh facility?
No, I always walk like this.
Very good.
Now, what is it? What is the swoosh facility? What a band name that would be.
Yeah.
Well, if you're sending email, you can have the option. Do you want it to go shh
Oh.
as it departs?
Oh, yes.
I like that.
Or do you not like to have... I love to know. I love the sound of the airmail. I enjoy that noise. Do you
I'm
have
going to
that?
go. I think what I'm going to do is when I get an email arrive, I'm going to get the trapped hello for my thing. Hello? Hello? Get that? Come on. That would work perfectly, wouldn't it?
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
So I'm just been debating whether Therese Coffey, the health minister, deliberately set off a Dr. Dre alarm on Nick Ferrari's show to sound cool.
Still grey.
Yeah, I think it's possible. If you had to do a list, I must say one of my worst being calls was I met Ricky Wilson of what they called
Kaiser Chiefs.
Kaiser Chiefs.
Lovely
yeah.
man.
And I said, oh, I really like that song of yours. Oh, Judy, 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 Judy. Ooh. And I gave it some. You know, Judy. I didn't just say it. Judy. I went, Judy, 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 Judy. And he said, thanks. It's Ruby, but thanks. Oh.
So I like that you chose some real sort of 1960s name. Judy.
I think I got it from there's a Cary Grant film when he says, oh, Judy, Judy, Judy. I think it was that was all mixed up.
Well, he says he's responsible for the spate of rubies.
but
One of the
is
most
it?
common names, I think, in the
I like to
90s,
think Kenny
2000s.
Rogers kicked that off.
I like the phrase spate of rubies.
Yeah, the spate of rubies. So,
That sounds like a Rider Haggard novel.
yes. It's quite Anthony Horowitz, I think. Frank, what about... We've had some people getting in touch. with their ringtones. But back to Frank in the studio.
No, I was just thinking of unlikely. I wouldn't have her down as a Dre fan. Now, maybe that's me stereotyping.
No, I wouldn't either.
And, occasionally, like I was at the Lou Reed gig and I met former Hampshire batsman Mark Nicholas, and I thought I would not. I did not expect. And I was at a gig once, and there was a bloke. I mean, he was honestly one of the ice. I mean, he's about. It could have been Sir Ivan.
I think we call those blokes friend of Pierre.
Yeah, and he said to this woman, he said, "Of course, I'm an enormous fan of Sonic Youth." Said I've seen them perform many times. I'm a tremendous fan of fabulous work. I thought, what? How can this be happening?
Also, you're
Sonic Youth.
It's quite a good game, is to imagine a band that doesn't have a single ennobled fan.
yeah.
I've always enjoyed the Dead Kennedys.
I've always enjoyed Frank's mother-in-law being not just being very into Placebo, but didn't she go on holiday?
She went to Nicaragua with Brian Malco, the lead singer.
I mean, we don't talk I think we should just leave that story there. Frank, do you want to know a few of these ringtones?
Yes.
So we have Pauline Atkins, Tom Jones and Keris Matthews, Baby It's Cold Outside. David of Partick has the Rockford Files theme tune. The amount of people who ask, what's that tune? I really recognise it.
Not Frank.
No, not Frank. He knew immediately. Jonathan Joe, the Vision On theme, Left Bank 2. I
think that was Gallery, actually.
Yeah.
The Gallery section.
Steve Huckfield, Public Image by PIL.
Oh, I don't remember how that goes.
No, it's a little revolutionary for us. And then...
This is not a love song? Or maybe this is not a love song.
Frank, you know how you find something about Bruce Springsteen really makes you laugh?
Yeah.
Something about Johnny Rotten trying to sound hard when he's singing really makes me laugh. Doing that for Cockney.
Myself and Glenn Moore, also of this parish, have a running joke where we try and sing about banal things in a Johnny Rotten style.
Okay.
And my one is going to the garden centre. You can buy a coffee and a cake, a shed and a rake.
I think we'll end on that. Fabulous. So, thanks for listening to us this morning. Thanks, Pierre. Always great to see you, even in shorts. The Guardian. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.